when Pom broke a man live on YouTube.
Yeah, you know what? You should never be proud of emotionally destroying someone, but there is a good part of me that watches that video clip and still has the evil Cheshire. I remember watching that after the game. I was like 4 beers deep and was like, yes,
This is us. It's time.
But then again, there's a lot of fans of the 17 other clubs who have done that to me. So I think it comes around.
I think so. Hey, everyone. Hello. Welcome to the Blue Abroad Show. It is Monday, the 20th of February. It's game week. I mean, it's a practice game, but nonetheless, it's game week. And yeah, the excitement builds again. Pommy, how you doing?
Oh, mate, I'm very good. I am very well. It's weird, isn't it? Because what a wonderful time to be alive. We've got a practice match against Collingwood, and I mean, already if you go on Twitter, you've got probably one of the worst Twitter slanging matches in the world. We've won 16 flags, the last one being 95, and they fire back and go, "Oh, we've been in 8 prelims since then." Do you know what I mean? Like it's literally like an Audi driver versus a BMW driver. Do you know what I mean? It's you both know that none of them can parallel park.
Well, I said this last week. It stands. Not only does Twitter need the footy, Facebook, everyone, it's time. Like enough's enough. We need the footy. We're going a little bit crazy without it. I'm going a little bit crazy without it.
I think Twitter doesn't need football. It needs an exorcism, to be honest. It needs a priest. But yeah, I mean, obviously it's exciting because, I mean, obviously, I don't know where everyone in the chat and where you stand, Terry. Usually at this stage, we're just praying for a fictitious 4 points and something to get us excited about. Do you know what I mean? But I'm actually approaching this one with, I don't care about the score. Do you know what I mean? I want them to approach this like all the top clubs do, like Geelong did last year, like Melbourne did versus us who lost it, and actually have clear setup. And the score is actually secondary in this preseason game. It's actually seeing what they've worked on. We've seen all the footage from Collingwood of their spread from the contest, which they've been working heavily on, and their defensive zones, which have been big talks about. You've seen Geelong work on a little bit more of a direct corridor football. Carlton have been spread crazy in the media. I'm really excited to see Ollie Hollands, Blake Acres, what that looks like. Are we actually spreading from there? So I've got a bit of excitement for round one when we see it, when there's actually 4 points on the line, when it actually matters at the end of the day.
True. Well, we're going to touch on a lot tonight, so buckle up. We're going to touch on the practice match. We're going to finish the play previews first and foremost. I've got a crazy update for you all regarding the Blue Abroad season launch event. Crazy update. New content, new show, almost Blues Brothers update, the Besties update. What am I missing? Oh, we're going to play the game. So for those who haven't played the game, hang around to the end because the game is everything. We're going to try and beat the top score from last week, which was 35. That's going to be a lot of fun. And yeah, this is week one of getting ready to see action against another team. So I'm excited. Stephen, good evening to you. He's given us a $31 donation and he says, Pom, if we're up by 10 points with about 5 minutes to play, is it fair for us to now expect they know exactly what to do?
That is something that I'd love to see. Now, I remember talking about, great point, Stephen. Thank you for your donation. $31 to answer this question. Pressure. There's money on this. But I remember, if you go back to the Melbourne game, I remember saying that the big thing that we talked about with Melbourne is don't read too much into it because Melbourne were looking to defend transition, which they failed miserably, but then did go on a 12-game win streak. I would like to see Carlton do that at stages in the game and go, right, tell you what, we're just going to turn the ball over at halfway and get peppered on transition. I agree with you, Stephen. I'm looking for, it's hard to replicate in a practice game because 4 points means F-all. But that is something Melbourne did. They shelved forward pressure and let Carlton hemorrhage it out so they could practice on that. I'd love to see that at Icon on Friday, that we drop forward pressure and go, right, let's get a feel of what it's like when teams come at us.
Totally. Good evening to everyone who's tuning in. So many of you. Oliver, Anthony, Ari, Mighty Blue 7, Chris Beach. Can smell it. Everyone's really excited. Well, look, we're gonna Willem is in the chat. Speaking
Legend.
of, let's start the show properly. We're gonna start the previews. Before we do that, just sit down, put your seatbelt on. The 2023 AFL season. Crazy.
Direction and launches. What a grab! And Cottrell, Durdin, Durdin, Chris will score another classic gag. Puts the ball in, takes the rebound. Oh, it's going to be hunted there by Harry. Looks Dina, and Charlie comes over the top and bounces it through. What a wonderful moment.
We avoided. I was just about to say we nearly avoided a slogan. Do you know what I
Don't
mean?
mind me. I'm just going to.
He's wasting one already. He's only got three, haven't you?
No, we're not going to waste them. So, for those who weren't here last week, we were sent Kool-Aid by our friend Adrian Sal from Twitter. So, there's 4 occasions to use the Kool-Aid. Just know if you're in the audience, you're going to help me know when to pour it. But God, that's good. Willem created that masterpiece. Willem's back on board for the year. It's great. It's good. It feels good. It feels
He's
exciting.
half man, half genius, is old Willem.
He is. He's a star. Ugur with the $80 says 76,000 members. We are excited. Absolutely. I think that's a record for this time of the year, I believe.
Yeah,
I believe that's the case.
Yeah, well ahead of last year, which was a record in pre-season last year as well. So, I mean, you know what is scary? What are them numbers when we actually achieve something historic and win a flag? Like that is, if I was Luke Sayers, I'd be thinking, Jesus, when these guys win a flag, if 76,000 people are signing up now for 9th, what are they going to sign up for when you get all the glory supporters? Do you know what I mean? And everyone jump. That could be in its 120s. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, when you know we're going to be, well, I guess you never really know, but when you're confident that we're, one of those contending teams for the premiership, it is going to be interesting. We'll hit the 100,000 member mark. I don't know if it'll be this year, but I know we'll hit it. I know we'll get there.
Mate, it's scary. I mean, the potential earnings of this club is going to be huge. Do you know what I mean? It's going to be huge.
Yeah, it is. Okay, so let's kick things off. We'll start with number 37, Jordan Boyd, who's obviously injured at the moment. So we're going to finish off the player previews for the list, even though we've added a few extras, given that Hudson O'Keefe and Alex Chincotta are now on the list, even though we don't know their numbers, but we can probably guess them. Pommy, Jordan Boyd, can we expect anything from him? I don't really know how serious this injury is. I know that it is somewhat serious, and he's going to miss probably the first third, at least, of the season, maybe the first half. I mean, I'm speculating now, but I feel like we're not going to be seeing or thinking about Jordan Boyd in a playing capacity until like the second half of the season.
Yeah, it's a weird one, isn't it? Because the club have said he's re-injured his acute fracture of the foot, according to the scans. So, I mean, it's a vague timeline, isn't it? I mean, it could be 12 weeks. It could be 2 weeks. You just never know, do you? Do you know what I mean? But I mean, you'd say conservatively, what, 8 weeks, 12 weeks, let's say. So that's probably what, round 9, round 10. Do you know what I mean? But you probably have to get fitness as well. You'd have to get a bit of fitness into him because with that type of injury, he's not going to be majorly running. But it's a shame, isn't it? Because with Williams out, you'd say, do you know what I mean, that this guy deputised for a lot of the players. He would have probably thought, I can probably go a little bit further ahead of the ball with my ball use. It was good. It was another mid-season pickup by Austin. Started off as a forward, evidently, even though he'd never seen the forward line. It was doomed when he got drafted and they were saying he was a small forward. But obviously he's come in, looks pretty good, doesn't he? He had his moments, decent little kick, bit of endeavour from him as well. There's a little bit of fight there. Probably one of my favourite footballers I've observed as a personal person. He evaded the ravishings of a recent divorcee with much aplomb, I've got to say, when I was sat next to him. But no, he seems a good kid, and it's a shame, isn't it? Because we talk about holes and opportunity. There was probably an opportunity here from him, and another opportunity's gone. But exciting times. I want to see. I reckon you haven't seen the last of Boyd this season. I reckon knowing him and knowing how he has acted in VFL and got into the AFL team, I reckon he's got a taste of it, and I think he'll want it back.
Yeah, look, they obviously seem to like what he brought to the table. I probably wasn't totally convinced until he played his third game, I think it was. And then he just started showing signs that he was adjusting to the level. And then he got injured, which was a shame. But again, there's not much really to expect. I guess timing's everything. With Zach Williams going down, had Jordan Boyd been healthy, you would think he's right in the mix for, a spot there. But again, we'll see what happens in the second half of the year, and good luck to him.
Yeah, I mean, that Richmond game, round 14, he was really impressive. Carlton were under the cosh there, and I think he went out about like 78% by foot from memory for his 16 touches. So he was really composed under their forward press. So there's something that we don't often say about Carlton players. He is quite composed under a little bit of fire. So be interesting to see how he goes when he comes back, because I'd say he'd probably fancy himself.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. So healthy, where do you put him on the list? Best 22, 23 to 30, or the rest?
Everyone fit and being considered, I'd say, is 23 and the rest. I think that Williams position's probably up for grab by about 4 players. So he'd definitely be there in the conversation.
Yeah.
But I'd say 23 to 30 is fair.
Okay. Next up, the other Durdin, Sam Durdin. I wonder if the mainstream media will get it right this year when they put a graphic up of either Corey or Sam and get the photo right. Sam Durdin, he came to us last year. I remember Wiedering was injured. Marchbank wasn't ready. McGovern was injured. And we picked him up. I think he got injured in his first game against the Tigers. I guess what we had last year in Oscar McDonald is kind of what we have now with the Sam Durdin. I don't expect him. I wouldn't guess him to be a starting 22 guy come round 1, but he's there in case we do have injuries, and we know what the season's like. We have 1 extra game to play now. We know that we don't have the best history with players playing 22 games or anything close to it. So I think it's good. It's good that he's going around again with us, and he'll obviously have learnt the system being there for half the year last year. But I didn't mind what I saw from him. It was a very minimal, but even at training, he looks okay.
He wasn't. He had an absolute phenomenal year playing for the Tigers before we drafted him in the Sandful. He was a real standout and didn't get much opportunity at Carlton, which is probably fair enough. Do you know what I mean? He was behind some pretty good players, wasn't he? Old Young and Jacob Wiedering. It's a tough thing to break in, but I mean, the thing for him is he's got to stay fit. Always surprised the media, like you say, get them wrong. There is 25 centimeters between Corey and Sam, so it's like confusing a Big Mac with a chicken nugget, really. But It's a weird one because Durdin is definitely the kind of player that's going to come cheap, even though he's a little bit older than a draftee, your standard draftee. He knows how to play the game. You know he's AFL ready. He's been there and he's done it. He's played enough games. Definitely the kind of guy that you want as backup. Do you know what I mean? Because end of the day, you don't have to. The problem we always talk about backups is if you had an 18, 19-year-old draftee here, it's not like a Cowan who is playing a position that genuinely 18-year-olds can play day one. This is a position that genuinely you've got to be a good size, which size comes with age. So I like Durds. I like him. I think it's going to be interesting if he can stay fit because he would have probably helped out last year towards the back end as well when you could see Wheatering was playing under a little bit of strife. And I think Young as well. He had a few knocks towards the end. So interesting one, but I like this. I'd like to see more Sam Durdins on the list in the as your backups. Just clean injuries. That's all I want.
Yeah.
Though.
I guess the reality of the situation is he really is next in line. I think if they're all fit for the most part now, Wiedering, Young, McGovern, Marchbank, if they're fit and healthy, they'll be playing. I would guess. I would guess all four of them would be playing. And so when I think of who's the next layer below, we're going to touch on Dom Akuei shortly. I don't know if Dom's quite ready just yet, but Sam Durdin could play. He could play in any game. He's AFL ready.
Yeah, well, I mean, Dom, you've got to judge him like I judge Rooks. 1 year is 2 years to him because he's coming from so far behind with him being a Cat B rookie. So you don't really count him on the list as well for salary cap purposes. Durdin, like you say, if he's a good size, 26, 27. Do you know what I mean? He's been there, he's done it. Not going to cost much as well. Do you know what I mean? Very minimal salary requirements for his category. So I like it. You want a player like this in your key position stocks. If this was an 18, 19-year-old, you'd be worried. But, Sam Durdin, providing he's fit and healthy, where he got the knock last year, he's the perfect backup because he can play. He knows. Yeah. You don't have to question, can he handle a big body? He's done it for a while.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, speaking of Dom, let's go straight to him. Dom Akuei, your boy.
Big Dom is big year for him. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Big year. He's our first NGA. Do you know what I mean? The Cat B rookie. Showed some signs, 21 this year, midway through the season, showed some signs, went down forward as well. Do you know what I mean? Towards the end of the season. He's starting to build. You've noticed that in the VFL, there's certain things still very raw. You probably won't see him this year, but you'd be saying now, this is probably the time where there's a little bit of go in him. This is where we want to see him establish himself, certainly at VFL level. You know what I mean? Really establish himself as a key performer. And by the looks of the VFL makeup, he's going to have a lot of responsibility this year, which only can be good for Dom.
Yeah. Well, I look at the makeup of him. I mean, I watched him only from a VFL level last year and really on screen. He certainly showed improvement towards the back end of the season. Yeah, I'm with you. Just focus on having a really strong year in the reserves and just position himself better than what he is today and get to the end of the year and just show that improvement. I just think of what it's like, what it might be like to experience it from his lens. I mean, look at who he's learning off. Literally, he's got all that athleticism and talent and just rawness to him. And he's learning off, I would assume, someone like a Jacob Wiedering and these types, the Caleb Marchbank, these types. At training, probably playing significant time on Harry or Charlie. So he's going to be, he's been thrown into the deep end from the start of his career. And it's going to be interesting to see if he can obviously rise to the top and really just forge a pathway for himself. I really hope he can. I'm in his corner. Of course I am. I'm in all their corners. But I really hope this is a story that we can have as a part of our club, because I love the whole story of him. I love it.
He's such a good kid as well, and he's so hungry to learn, eager to learn. Wiedering spoke highly of him when I was having a meal with him, super highly about how he applies himself. It's going to be a tough one for Dom because, like you say, he's a late bloomer. He's a late bloomer in this, and there will come a point, as much as I love him, where even I'll start asking questions. Maybe not this year, maybe next year. I'll definitely start asking questions of, is the development better served on an 18-year-old than this? But looking at Dom's facets, he's incredibly quick. We saw it at VFL. We know that Keith loved him taking off. And it was something that he started to build towards the back end of the year. The bravery to take the intercept mark, to take the spoil, pick it up and take off. Got caught out a few times, but that was the big thing for him, learning to take the risk. Do you know what I mean? And on the risk. And that was something that O'Keefe was big with him. But I think he's got it in him. I tell you what, speaking to him, this kid isn't scared of having a go. He's willing to learn. So good luck to him. And I'll tell you what, wouldn't it be nice to have someone in the starting 18 that we can say was an academy player?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because it seems like only Sydney get to do that at the moment.
So true. So true. They nail it too. All right. Adam Saad. Alhamdulillah. Adam Saad. I'm looking forward to Adam Saad content this year. That's the one thing I'm looking forward to. Number 42, All-Australian. Very, very much deserved All-Australian. Second year at the club last year. And I've said this about a few players. There's certain players that you just don't ask questions because they just get the job done so consistently and at such a high level. And Saadi's kind of in that category for me. It's like, nah, I trust what's going on. I have faith that the commitment levels are there and the care factor and the professionalism and the whole package is there. He's an incredible ambassador off the field. He's just an incredible human being off the field. He's an incredible figure within the community, his community, and he's one of those special players that you're just grateful to have at your club.
There's not many players at Carlton Football Club, I think, who give you what Adam Saad does. And I think a lot of them are very output based. But there's something about Saad, whenever he gets the ball, you get the feeling that something's going to happen. And few players are blessed with that gift. Do you know what I mean? When they're around the ball, you just get a sense that you're about to witness something special. And what I like from Saad outside of the story is I think last year he answered a lot of questions that were probably uneducated comments. And I'm not picking on Essendon fans, but a lot of uneducated media was around Saad. He can't defend. He's a one-trick pony. He just bounces the ball and takes out. Is he a leader? That's why Essendon got rid of him. There was a lot of these, and this was driven by the media. A lot of people blame Essendon fans. It was mainly the media who assumed this is the reason. I thought very quickly Adam Saad proved that bollocks very quickly because you see the leadership on him. Time and time again, I would say that if I had to grade players A star to F for pressure handling, Saad by a mile was an A star. When Carlton were under the shit, he wasn't scared. He was the one that still played his game, still took the game on. And I think he's a terrific player. And he's not just a role model, for the Muslim community. I think what a role model for anyone out there, because that must have been hard work. If you actually go back, and I did this a couple of weeks ago, went back to 2002, the start of the season, this time last year, the media were on his case. Do you know what I mean? The fan base at Essendon were really driving the Nick Hind is better. The media ran with that. He had a lot on his plate.
You're right. The Nick Hind is better. Oh my
Do you know
God.
what I mean? It was about this time that Fox Footy did an article about Carlton's acquisitions from other clubs. Do you know what I mean?
Wow.
And saying, have they worked out? And for me, Adam Saad has answered that. And you know what's beautiful about Adam Saad is how humble he is. Do you know what I mean? A lot of players would have, by rights, got that All-Australian nom and then just stuck two fingers up at the camera and gone, how fucking good am I? He just took it in his stride, carried on. And I think the big thing I like about Saadi, above everything else, is all he talks about is footy. Do you know what I mean? There's no song and dance.
Yeah.
He's just business. Even when you see him at functions, he's business. He carries himself like a model professional. And I think for your young blokes like Cowan's got a little bit of personality. He needs to be reined in a little bit. You see, I think Saad will be the perfect example to him that you can be exuberant on the field, but still maintain dignity and class throughout. So Adam Saad, not just a wonderful servant of the Muslim community, a wonderful example to be a human being, first of all. And I love Adam Saad. I can't speak highly of Adam Saad enough.
There's so many. I think there's 3 points I want to touch on. Number one, the Wolf will be back louder than ever. I can't wait, and I'm hoping that everybody else gets on board. Number two, it's funny. The narrative gets stamped out pretty quickly. Also, we control our own narrative now. I think it's safe to say in the Carlton community. I think we're pretty much getting to that point, if not already there. And then the third thing, I had this conversation the other day about the leadership group, and obviously last year we had a 3-man leadership group with Cripper and Wiedering and Walsh as the co-vice captains, and I was talking about, do we change it? If we do, like, who do you put in? And I'm like, oh, if we do anything, maybe you put a 4th, maybe a 5th at best. This is if you change it. And I looked at the list for the other guys who I deem to be a real leader. I think this guy, I don't know if it's something he's interested in doing, but I'm sure he is a leader without the title of being in the leadership group. But I'm curious to know if he would be in a leadership group at the club.
I don't think he needs to be. I've been strong on this. I don't think you need more than 3 leaders.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I'm only giving you 3 because I'm English and I think you should have 1 leader. Do you know what I mean? I don't know why you need 3. I think the message should be Adam Saad is the perfect example of what leadership is. He carries himself on the field. How many things does he do for the community? He does a fucking awful lot. And you know what? This is what I say on Twitter a lot. Be wary of someone who tells you they're a good person with ridiculous posts about I don't hit women or I don't gay bash and things like that. I love the LGBTIQ. Always be careful of them people, because Saad does, and then he carries himself like a human being, approachable. And that's why I respect Adam Saad. And that is leadership right there. If I was in a dressing room with Adam Saad, I'd be like, this guy loves his family, does everything for his family, does everything for his community, opens his heart to the world, plays footy, tough, never scared. You look at him, 30 points down, Saad will take off like you're 30 points up. Doesn't change it. He believes in himself. That's leadership without having a name.
Yeah.
Cripper's a leader with his name and by it through his actions. Saad is supreme because he carries himself off that field as a leader for his community, his family, but more importantly, himself. Absolute legend, Saad. And I'll tell you what, if we had more Saads in the world, this world wouldn't be so shit.
Yeah, it'd be much better. Well, I mean, we'll probably touch on it when we do the Collingwood preview, but obviously in the news with Ginnivan and footy players being role models and the like, it's quite ironic because the actual role models in the league are the ones that you don't hear from. That's what I believe. If anyone in the league is going to be a role model, it's a guy like Adam Saad. It's a guy like Jacob Wiedering. It's these guys, the way they carry themselves. I think they are the standard of what behavior should be looked up to. But obviously with an entertainment aspect to the game and any sport really, it's the flashy types that get a lot of the attention, the views, the fanfare, and they in turn assume this role of role model and have to set the standard and the like. But it's these guys. It's Adam Saad. That's a role model. That is a role model.
The big thing about Saad is, and you've said it there, do you know what I mean? Usually your exuberant superstars, your Ben Cousins, they have rock star lives off it. And that is the impression. You talk about role models. I don't buy into role models to children as professional athletes. If a professional athlete is influencing your kid, question your parenting skills. You should be the number one influence. You're around them all day. But from a perspective of understanding, that's where you look at people outside of your family base. Adam Saad plays exciting, attention-grabbing footy. However, off the field, guess what? He's a normal human being that loves and cares and cherishes, gives 100%. Absolutely froth Adam Saad. I can't love Saadi more than I do. Do you know what I mean? Absolutely love him. I don't think the Wolf does him enough justice, to be honest. I think he needs more love in the media, and you're spot on because he doesn't piss about and post every 5 days, I've done X, Y, Z for the community. He just gets forgotten about. But I'll tell you what, if the world was ending, I'd rather have Adam Saad in my community than a Nat Fife or anyone else. I want this guy.
True. Well, it's a good segue because speaking of the Wolf, a few things. Firstly, you'll see the Almost Blues Brothers here on YouTube. That'll give you a little hint of what's going on. They will be live here on the channel Wednesday night. There was life happened, as it often does. Life happened today, so we couldn't get them on tonight. But let me tell you, I spoke to Joe earlier. I'm pretty sure this is Joe commenting here. He's chomping at the bit. Absolutely.
I've got to say, Almost Blues
chomping
Brothers
at the bit.
becoming the David Cunningham of the Blue Abroad Network. A lot of
No.
potential, a lot of excitement about them debuting next week, but a lot of late outs.
I'm telling you, the fire has been lit and Joe is ready. So Wednesday night, 8 p.m. here on the channel, the Almost Blues Brothers will be on the channel live. So also, speaking of the Wolf, I need to give you all an update on the Blue Abroad season launch. So this is how it went down. The idea was Ange Christou's obviously offered us his shop, his restaurant to host the season launch, and we thought, all right, we'll put 50 tickets up and see how we go. I promise you, I'm not lying. 48 hours after the show last night, within 48 hours, 51 were gone. So I didn't want to post about it, sold out, this, that. I'm just telling you now, they sold out. So we've released another 50, and there are currently 30 tickets left. 70 are gone. There are 30 tickets left. We're going to have about 100 people there. The link is in the live chat right now. Get your hands on them because it's going to be great. Angie's going to put on all the food for us, and tickets are $25. That covers your entry, that covers your food, and it covers the costs of running and essentially shutting down the whole shop just for us. So it's great. It's exciting. And it's also it's very humbling as well to put on an event and to see tickets go that quickly. It's great. So the link is in the comments. If you're on YouTube, the link is pinned to the top of the live chat. Hit the link. I promise you, they will sell out. The event is on Saturday, the 11th of March. So it's the Saturday before round one. They'll be selling out. The Jumper Punch boys will be filming another episode. I believe it's next week. I don't even know if they'll get to film an episode and even promote the event because I think it'll maybe sell out then. So jump on, get around it. Ange Christou will be there. That might give you a little bit of a hint as to who else might be there, but I don't want to announce anything yet. It's exciting.
Cam Paulson, I've heard. Big rumors. And my plus one's going to be Aaron Mullet. Saying you know what? Wouldn't that be great? I mention Aaron Mullet every week. Aaron, if you're watching, be my plus one for this day, please.
Yes. All right, let's move on. Number 44, Matt Owies. I feel like I find myself defending him way too often, and I feel like he's one of those players that is very quickly forgotten about because we have our eyes on the prize and the flashy, new, exciting toys. I don't know if that's the right way to describe it, but we've got the young guns in Durdin and Motlop, and they're the future. And I'm very mindful and cognizant of the fact that Owies is a pro. Owies is a good professional. He's a really good story for us that probably doesn't get documented as much. Again, it might not be too exciting for the common fan, but from where he's come from, again, he's a category B or category A rookie.
Yeah, it's category B.
A category B rookie.
Point. No one talks about this. Carlton's development has been dog shit for a decade. You can't count Sam Walsh. Sam Walsh could have been coached by the guy who lives under the Balti Bridge. Do you know what I mean? And he would have still been as good as he is. Natural talent doesn't need that much honing. Owies came to us as a basketballer. Do you know what I mean? And we developed him into being one of the top 5 defensive turnover specialists through tackles, the top 5 tackler inside 50, the first man since Matty Wright in 2012 or something, 2013 or something, 2014. It was way back, 7-8 years ago, before someone tackled more than one tackle inside 50 a game all year. Like, that's unbelievable. That's got 2 coaches sacked. Do you know what I mean? Not being able to tackle inside 50. We created Owies, ladies and gentlemen. We did one development thing right in 10 years. He's the poster boy of our rebuild.
No,
But
he's a
I
great
agree with
story.
you. He gets no love because he's boring. Because you know what? Why people don't like him? He does his job. He does his job to the best of his capabilities. And this is our mindset from the rebuild. We want superstars, superstars, superstars. In reality, if Carlton had 6 superstars propped up by 15 Matty Owies, you'd win flags because that's how Geelong play football. They've got 5, 6 A-listers. The rest, workhorses. So there you are. Matty Owies, love him.
I loved what he did before he got injured last season. He obviously came back into the side, wasn't as effective, but I recall during our, first 10 games, during that run, we'll call it, his ability to hit a target inside 50, I remember it standing out so clearly. His ability to consistently lay 5+ tackles really stood out. Then he got injured. I think it was the Fremantle game. It might have been the Richmond game. He got hurt. The Fremantle game, I believe he was the sub. And then he came back in round 20, didn't quite have the same power through the body. And I just think, I know I can sense the expectation and the excitement around someone like a Jesse Motlop, but I've lived long enough and watched enough of this team to know that you don't want to put too much expectation on second-year players and first-year players. There's every now and again they can do it. I'm not saying Jesse can't do it. Is Jesse Motlop ready to be a consistently playing small forward for the club? Maybe he might be, but I think Owies is in this real sweet spot where he can buy us some time and buy some time for Durdin and buy some time for Motlop before they're playing, regularly, no questions asked. And then my next question is, can you play all 3? Is that going to work with Jack Martin fit and healthy, with Jack Silvani in there and Fisher on the half forward flank? It's an interesting one. I guess we'll find out through the practice matches for what they're going to do. But my guess right now would be that we're not going to be playing all 3.
I think you can play all 3, to be honest. You find with Harry and Charlie, that's more dynamic in the key forwards than you've ever seen outside of Geelong. And Geelong traditionally play smaller. Do you know what I mean? So what you've got to look at with Owies, and there's another part of Owies' tale that when he went down, round 14 onwards, Motlop actually averaged more tackles inside 50. In fact, Motlop would have averaged more tackles inside 50 than any other AFL player this year, if you take it from there. So what Owies did, he set the standard. He's set the standard of what is possible. And then Motlop has added it with a bit of a decorum of he can kick snags and he's exciting. So again, he's got that. But that Motlop has got what Owies has got. He's got a very good base and a bit of respect on the defensive side of the game. I would say, if I'm picking the team, I'd say that you've got Corey Durdin or Owies. I'd say that they're probably fighting for the position, because in an ideal world, what you'll have is Motlop will have his own little thing. And I think you'll see a Pickett style trajectory with him where you'll start seeing him pinch hitting in the midfield. Not this year, probably next year, pinch hitting around stoppages, certainly like he did so well in VFL. But Owies, for me, definitely going to be an option if you're playing a team like St Kilda, who play off the halfback. You'd probably look at that and say Jesus probably too slow, which was proved when we tried to put him forward against St Kilda. You'd say Jack Martin probably not defensively astute. So there would be a great argument to play a little bit smaller and say to Owies, right, we're going to play you as a defensive tagger, because he has got very good engines. He has got very good jets as well when he needs to over a short space. So I'd like to see Carlton not have a best 22 this year and actually have a best 27. And the 22 is picked on circumstance.
Of course. Well, this is where I think Owies can add another layer to his game. How many times do we allow a halfback flanker space? I think Owies is the perfect type of player. Maybe Durdin as well, but I probably would look at Owies as a type of player to say, hey, we're playing against, I'll name them, Dawson, Sinclair, Jaff, any of them, to just sit on them. Because it's definitely something that was more of a trend in terms of what we gave up last year. That defensive forward.
Yeah, I mean, it always seems it's that. And it's great that Carlton fans have started to notice it. It's great that Carlton fans have started to notice it because when we talk about defending against transition, that starts in the forward half. So why we got better at it is because the tackle numbers are insane inside 50. So that's a big thing. But I agree with you that the halfback flankers do kill us. And you notice that because of transition. You mentioned him as well, is Adelaide have found the cheat code to Carlton. And since that game, Melbourne exploited it. And so did Collingwood. And that is the diagonal ball from left half back. If you go back and watch the scout report on Adelaide, I talked about their unique setup. And it causes chaos in Carlton structure, which is they go cross field twice. And Carlton evidently can only run in a straight line. We can't zigzag very effectively. And that's how they got around Carlton's forward pressure. That would be something that Owies would be good at because all he's got to do is take away the right-hand side. And if you watch Owies, he did it really well a few times against the Doggies where he actually pressured them to funnel them into a trap that Carlton laid. So now you've got Motlop and Durdin. Hopefully that's improved and we'll see it. But Owies is a great benchmark because if Motlop and Durdin are better than Owies, again, top 5 in the league at tackles, if he can get there, Carlton are laughing.
Yeah. So the question is Matt Owies in the best 22, 23 to 30, or is he part of the rest? I've got him in my 22 round 1. I'm picking him.
I haven't got him in my 22 round 1. I'm going to be honest. Spoiler,
Okay.
even though I've bigged him up. So if you're watching Owies, sorry,
cut
mate.
I cut him at the knees after bigging him up.
It's like one of them breakups when you're 15. I've resorted to it's not you, it's me. I really do think that our flag winning forward line is Motlop and Durdin. I do think that they are going to be the smalls dictating it. I think it's stiff to be 23-30. I think he's better than that, but I'm going to play the game. 23 to 30.
Love it. Well, it was only, 2 years ago that we were crying out the small forward position needed addressing. We sat here on the live stream watching Tom Papley get to the club and then fall away from the club. And there's famous footage of that lying around. But it's good that we now have a debate because when I look at it, okay, Martin, he's healthy right now. He's a factor in the forward line, obviously. Jack Silvani, all things being proper, I would assume he's a factor in the forward line. Dave Cunningham, I'm a bit nervous to say his name, but at the same time, if he's fit and healthy and gets the continuity and he's back and he's ready to go, he's a factor in the forward line because he plays both positions. He sort of rotates through the midfield, but probably plays half forward. So if all of these guys are available, that's where I get a little bit unsure if we would want to play all 3 smalls. If Martin and Cunningham are fit and healthy, that's a big factor for a best 22.
Mate, I agree. And I mean, there is a great argument to play all 3. Like, I mean, you could even see Owies be that 23rd man. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That 23rd man, especially against someone like Adelaide, against someone like Port, against someone like St Kilda, and be like, right, okay, we'll leave him as that 23rd man. Oh shit, Carlton have got a 12-point lead, quarter to go. Jack Sinclair's up to his usual tricks of looking like Gary Ablett Jr. when he plays Carlton, you fling him on. Do you know what I mean? So, I mean, it's a good one because, I mean, Owies is good enough to be in the 22, and it is weird, isn't it? Because I remember doing this show with you and trying to sell for Solo. So... Do you know what I mean? I was also on this show when someone in the comments bet that Tom Bugg would kick 35.
We've come a long way. Goodness me.
I've seen a lot of shit with you. So it's nice to say that if Owies isn't in our best 22, we must have 2 pretty good fucking small forwards.
Well, what have we been doing? You look back and you're like, what were we doing? What have we been doing with these? Anyway, good luck to Matt Owies.
It's
And
amazing we haven't aged more, to be fair.
I know. This is an
Do you
interesting
remember
one.
Fasolo, though? I never forget. I went to open training. My favourite Alex Fasolo story is I got a picture for my mate, and my mate had asked him, "Do I call you Alex or Mr. Fasolo?" He was really respectful. He was like, "Call me the Prince of Perth. Everyone else does." And then he went like this. I was like, "What a fucking idiot!"
Fair play to Alex. Wish him well. I'm really curious about this guy, Alex Mirkov. I'm not putting too much expectation on him now, but I would like to see him become a factor come season's end. A factor. And what I mean by that is, if you had said to me, Alex Mirkov's going to play in 2022, I was I'm like, oh, it's way too early. He's still developing. I'm hoping by the end of this year, he's doing something in the VFL for us to think about, okay, maybe we can play him. I don't know if that's a stretch. Next year, different story. But this year, I think by the end of the year, I really think if he's put the work in, and again, the development program, give it up. Give it up for what's been implemented over the last few years with Luke Power there and the like, and the other names who I've probably missed out. But if that's the trajectory that we're looking at, I don't know. I don't know too much about Mirkov as a prospect. I love watching him in a ruck battle. I love watching him when he runs at the ball. Around the ground is where the work needs to be done. I think that's pretty clear. But if he can just bob up and become a factor for us to think about at the end of the year, it's crucial for us.
204 centimeters, 100 kegs. Been on the list now 2021, so 2023. Jesus, time flies, 2 years. He's a ruckman, so you've got to remember we only count 1 year every 2 years, and then there's a caveat to the POM ruck age. If they're a Cat B and they were a volleyballer, we disregard the first year. So he's actually technically a draftee in my eyes this year. He's Hudson. Okay. So he's come from far away. But the great thing about Alex is the first year we had him, that mid-season draft, I do remember thinking, what the fuck are we doing here? Because this guy played football like he was playing volleyball. It was obvious he wasn't a footballer. There was a little bit signs, and he was basically getting off the fact he was a giant. Last year, though, I've got to say his development, particularly, which surprises me, his kicking is insane from where it was. He would have struggled to hit a cow's ass with a banjo from 5 meters away at the start of last year. Last year, he really escalated and actually started to look like a footballer. Do you know what I mean? I would say his kicking's up there with Mumford now already in a year. So if he can keep this trajectory, I agree with you. This time next year, he could make a case, dare I say it, that maybe Pitternet does get the hump if Carlton can re-sign TDK. Do you know what I mean? Maybe that is the stage for Carlton. Maybe that's why Hudson's there. You'd suspect Hudson's there for development, and that would probably allude that one of TDK and Pitternet may go out. It would also allude that Mirkov is the project's up. But I don't think it is because they extended his contract. So I'm with you. I think this VFL this year, if you're a fan, you should be paying probably more attention to that than the AFL. Because Hudson, this kid, and he's got something he hasn't had. He can now ruck like a proper ruck. He doesn't have to do 99%. And Joe asked a question, dynamic enough. I'd say this, get the idea of having an athletic ruckman out of your head. Why do you need it? You only need a dynamic ruckman if your midfield is one-dimensional. Carlton has 8 ways to skin a cat in the midfield. No one has the talent pool in the midfield that we do. And it's probably top 3 in the league. So having someone just to win taps, that's why Jesus got away with being a ruckman, because he acts as an extra midfielder. He made it hard to get the ball out. He didn't win the taps. He made it hard so the midfield go to work. Mirkov of that size, tell you what, if he can get 25% better now on the ball, with the ball on deck, imagine him doing what Pitternet does, where he shoves a player out to give Kennedy the time. Mirkov does it. He'll kill someone. Honestly, I've stood next to Mirkov. It is insane. His size is insane. Like, if he can get this footy smarts, tell you, he could be quite the player. I'm not. Just to confirm, right? Zoe did make me a cup of tea as well.
It's so good. I love this time of the year. Everything can go right. No, very well said. Very well said. The final player on the list right now is Matty Cottrell. This is another guy who last year, going into last year, I was like, oh, I'm not sure. But similar to Owies, the one thing about Matt Cottrell you can't take away from him, ever since he got to the club, he has improved. By even if it's 5%, every single season he's improved. Really disappointed that he hurt himself because he put on a lot of size in seemingly a short amount of time and looked really thick. I mean, I remember seeing him and I made the comment that he is thicker now than Paddy Dow. And it was a shame to see him get injured because he looked like he was ready to be more strong in the contest. Now, his season's not done. He's going to be a factor for us at some point this year. Obviously, we've got fresh, young talent in the door now in Hollands and Binns and these guys. So the competition is going to be a bit more tricky for him. But he had a good year. He had a pretty good year last year.
Mate, I agree with you. And just to answer Joe's question, yeah, Ned Reeves would be a great prototype for Mirkov. But Cottrell, well, I mean, I'm going to start it with maybe an insult at Mr. Cottrell. But what you love about Cottrell, right? The gentleman there, Matt Cottrell would be the Audi version of Oliver Holland. So what you like about Cottrell, workhorse, hard work, two-way running, never stay die attitude, Carlton fan by birth, gives that extra 10%. Ollie Hollands is the polished Matt Cottrell. Matt Cottrell would probably be the ugly stepsister, do you know what I mean, of this player if we were playing Disney. But Matt Cottrell, exactly what you want in a football club. Every football club has a player like Matt who gets it. But he's our link. He doesn't get enough love from Carlton fans, I think. He's our link. If, you know, when you dream, you daydream and go, if I played for Carlton, if we played for Carlton, we'd be Matt Cottrell. Do you know what I mean? He puts his heart on the line for this football club. And like you say, always increasing his output. This is a man that you can tell must be a dream to coach because he's learning, he's improving. And whether he's best 22, time will tell. There was probably an opportunity for him there. It's an important one for him this year to really keep it going. And I agree with Anthony. You know, I was
about to bring it up on the screen. I agree completely.
This guy, you know what, 10 minutes to go, 6, you know that Collingwood game, how tight that is, and we just needed a goal. Tell you what, imagine bringing this guy in the fourth, fresh. Tell you what, I would sell my house and put it on Matt Cottrell to kick the winner if the scores are tied, 2 minutes to go, because you know this kid's going. This kid's doing it. He's doing the Roy of the Rovers stuff. So I love Matt Cottrell. Brilliant little player.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said for a guy that improves year in, year out, because over the course of 7-8 years, you do that, you put yourself in a good spot. I think the one trait about him last year that I remember is it started all clicking for him and he started thinking his way through situations where the year before or the year before that, when he was only just starting to play at that top level, you could tell that there's a bit of a panic and he rushed his decision. He wasn't able to make decisions quick enough. He wasn't able to think quick enough through situations, but he really started, you could tell like, oh, okay, here's another contest and another one that he had experienced over time at training and in actual game situations. And he just started making better decisions in traffic. So hopefully he gets back up and running soon because he's a good squad player. He's a good guy to have on the list. He's a good worker. Anyone that can run with his capacity is a good person to have at the club. So, he proved me wrong. I did not have me talking about him in this way in 2023. So,
mate, 18 games last year. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And I think I love Chris's honesty. Many people probably had him on the trade table.
Yeah, I mean,
delisting 18 games last year. And I'll tell you what, the guy's got cojones, hasn't he? He's got cojones. Yeah. And I remember watching the VFL and saying he needs to learn that confidence in the AFL. And once he had it early with Voss, he never looked back, did he? And I love Cottrell, and nothing would make me happier than seeing him, late out grand final day, Matt Cottrell in on the morning, gets his opportunity. And can you imagine his reaction when he wins that medal?
I know, right?
It'll be the People's Medal. The People's Medal.
That's what it'll be. Yeah. Okay. So we've spoken about Hudson O'Keefe. We've spoken about Alex Cincotta in a separate video. But that is officially your 2023 player preview series. Pom, another one bites the dust, mate. There we go. Great.
Well,
the timing was good because we finish, and now I've got practice matches, and we're pretty much into footy now. So it's good.
Hopefully, we're talking about these players as bona fide, deep finalist players. Do you know what I mean? Can't wait for that.
I know. Now, it's time to talk about the practice match. By the way, we're going to go very much over the 8 o'clock finish time tonight. So, Friday morning, Carlton Collingwood practice match. Let's start with logistics. So what we're going to do on the channel. I've got a wedding. One of my best friends is getting married. I'm a groomsman, so I won't be there for the game. The fan cams will be taking place in the evening. Pommy, you're hosting. The fan cams.
So instead of shouting at Terry, you get to shout at me. How good's that?
It's great. It's going to be great. Now, 7 p.m. Friday, 7 p.m. gives everybody time to go home, watch the game if you've been at work. 7 p.m. jump here on the fan cams. We'll do that. But let's get stuck into it. Like, what do you want to see? You guys at home, what do you want to see? What are you actually looking for in a game like this on Friday? Pommy, I know you did a video on that. Where is your mind at with Friday?
Well, I think for me, this is, if you had to pick a tune-up fight, I always think you got to look at it at boxers. Great boxers, have good tune-up fights for their main rivals. And this is a perfect one for us because what Collingwood are strong at is what caught Carlton out last year. And you see it in round 23 particularly. So this is a great thing because we did see with Collingwood, great spread, getting it away from the contest, getting it away from their toughness and their grit, can catch them out as Brisbane did. And you can see, as Sydney did, and you can see this is what Carlton have got to do. I'm looking for really processes. I really want to see how Carlton defend against that transition. I want to see an end to overusing it, which I think both games against Collingwood, we ran out of ideas because they are very stifling in the contest where we're strong, and we didn't get clean use. It was just use for the use sake. So I'm really looking forward to seeing where Carlton end that and see if they can get that spread. They've spent a lot of money on, a lot of trade revenue on Ollie Hollands, on players of that ilk. So I'm expecting to see that spread look good. And you know what? I'm just looking forward to being back at it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't feel like it's real. It feels like it's been so long. And Tim's reminded me what I said in the video. Thank you, Tim. I talk way too much. That is it as well. Finding that happy gear, because we're either static or ballistic. We are either 5 out of 5 or 1 out of 1 in intensity. I want to see, can we go through that? And that will give Saad his 4 quarters, when we find that happy medium. So I'm looking forward to it. Great test. Collingwood, love them or hate them, very strong side. They've got better. What they did well last year, Tom Mitchell's there now, and I'm not in the camp 40 touches shit. I'm in the camp of he gets the ball 40 times when you don't have it and he gives it to a runner. And you've seen some of the Collingwood footage. Nick Dykos running onto that. Do you know what I mean? Isaac Quainer running onto them 40 times. It's going to make Carlton's defence very, 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 very switched on. So I'm looking forward to seeing it. I'm hoping to see the best the Pies bring. Hoping to see we match it and go into round 1 with some excitement that we know we can do it.
Yeah. One thing about the Pies, which I'm with you, I'm happy that we're playing against them, now and practicing, a tune-up against them, they play such a proactive game. They just go and they force you to make decisions quickly. Now, I don't know what the intensity of the game is going to be like and if it really can be anything close to what round 23 was. But nonetheless, the way that they quickly move the ball and the way that they quickly make decisions is going to force us to have to set up. So I'm going to be really curious to see how that one plays out. I think for a practice match, I'm curious to see where certain guys are at. Like how fit's Jack Martin? Is Ollie Hollands going to look comfortable amongst those sorts of players? These types of things. I mean, I don't know how much we're going to see of a new or evolving game plan. We'll probably try new things at stoppages and whatnot. But yeah, I just want to see how we go I hope Collingwood turn the heat up. And I really do. I hope they bring a fast game to us. And I just want to see what our kicking's like under pressure. Again, knowing that there are levels to the pressure and it's the first practice match, but that's the key for us. Footy under pressure. And what do we do with it? How do we kick the ball when there's heat? So yeah, it's exciting.
I can't wait, mate. I'm looking forward to it. I really am. I mean, it's a long time coming, isn't it? But here we are. And it reminds me, I don't know if people watch boxing, but it reminds me of Dylan White versus Joseph Parker. That is how Carlton were last year. Parker a better boxer. That's Carlton. Technically gifted, right? Collingwood are Dylan White. That when they swing in clusters. It doesn't matter how technically gifted you are. You get cracked with a right hook. You're going down. That's where Carlton needs to be smarter this year and be like, right, okay, we need to find that different layer. Take the edge off Collingwood. When they come at us, let them apply the pressure, but we do it in a safe manner so we can see the game out and win on points, which ironically Carlton lost it on points. So it's a big thing because that's going to pay us in because that is, we talk about sustainability on Collingwood. Carlton, it's not sustainable. Carlton go 20 up, get all square. That's equally just not sustainable either. So Carlton have got to learn what Geelong do, what Melbourne do, that putting your hand on your head like you do your little brother and he punches himself out a little bit. We need to learn to do that.
Yeah. I mean, if I look at this time last year, we played the Saints in that first practice match and then we played the D's. And, there's always a discussion around what do you really take out of preseason. I think when you look back at the St Kilda and Melbourne, I think the Melbourne game in particular, that was a real sign of things to come. We actually saw a bit more midfield depth really show itself in that Melbourne game last year at Marvel, even though it was a preseason game. So, and I remember it clearly. I remember Matt Kennedy tearing it up. I remember Cripps kicking heaps of goals, and they looked very similar to what they looked like in round one in the preseason. So, yeah.
No, mate. And come and say hi. We'll be live 7:00 as well. So me and Lack Dog will do a live review and then you can jump on and talk to us. But come and say hi. I'll be sat somewhere. I'll post my location on Pominoz. So come and find me.
Yes. And stay tuned. There's some exclusive content coming to the channel from the practice match. We'll just leave it there. Just know that there's an exclusive collaboration happening at the practice match with the Blue Abroad family and Swoop Luke and the Carlton Football Club and the Collingwood Football Club. We'll leave it at that. So get around them. Get around them.
It's going to be a big fight in the car park.
They're going to have to lock them out. Yeah. Okay. So anything else on the agenda?
Well, I mean, I did want to briefly talk about, there was a certain individual at Collingwood who got rumbled.
Right. Interesting conversation coming up. Let's do it.
Yeah, and I've seen Carlton fans, and I know that Carlton fans are going to take the piss out of it. He's a rival player, and, I'd expect Collingwood to do the same. I just read the narrative, and a good friend of mine works at Anglicare Victoria, so they do wonderful work for youths who are affected by drug and alcoholism. So if you're ever going to find a charity that donates, who actively provides round-the-clock care for some of the most vulnerable people in our community, they do it, and they do it from a young age. But what is weird is I've seen two narratives around watching it, and I've stayed quite quiet but two narratives. One is there's the contingent of people that every 20-year-old does drugs. Lay off him. Every 20-year-old does it. And then there's also the tangent of, I don't do drugs, so fuck them. Don't make mistakes. And I wanted us as a fan base to change the narrative. So Anglicare, right, did research in 2022 after COVID. And there's some shocking statistics, but 9 million people in Australia have done drugs over the age of 14. That's a lot of people. So that narrative is true. A lot of people do drugs. Now, I think what we need to do as a community is understand that one day probably a Carlton player will get pinged. Let's hope not, but he'll do something stupid. And the narrative needs to change from condemning and mocking to be more open with this conversation, I think, first of all, and a period of punishment, but also a period of redemption as well. And I think that the AFL have missed the mark on drugs, the fact they give them a lot of loopholes. I think that the way it's handled needs to be quite public in the terms of I've done it. But we've got to understand as a community, we all make mistakes. And it's important if we start chastising, this is where you'll get players who won't be as foolish as Ginnivan, who will do it publicly. They'll start taking it underground. And I think if I was Jack Ginnivan's dad, I'd be happy that guy recorded my son, because potentially that might have saved him in the long run. 10, 15 years down the track, he may be a clean man, never do drugs again. This is his once mistake. I think that's exciting. Long time. But you've got to remember, drugs is close to me. Always remember, stupid people make stupid choices. And I think this role model narrative, they're sportsmen. They shouldn't be leading your kids. What this role model should be, and what I'm teaching my kids, is you can make a mistake like Ginnivan. You can also get yourself out of the mistake through hard work and redemption and come out of it making a mistake a better human being. Because if you start teaching your kids to fear mistakes, which my kids have read some of the comments on Twitter because they look over my shoulder, they get scared of making a mistake. And trust me, my pop banned drugs, hated drugs. I became a drug addict because I couldn't talk to him when I started doing drugs. And the one man I wanted in my corner was my pop. I wanted to ring him and go, look, I've done something stupid. Help me. But I was so scared of calling him that day. Do you know what I mean? That day that I dealt with it myself, and I dealt with it by doing more drugs and got addicted. You know what I mean? We're quality pom. But that's what happens, because we're a community, and there might be someone out there who wants to contact Petra, contact Joe, contact Josh. And when you make them comments like, everyone does drugs, yeah, the boys, or I've never made a mistake, fucking idiot, ban him for life, you're going to make them go underground. And once drugs goes underground, or once depression goes underground, alcoholism, domestic violence, dealing with feelings, they're all linked. If we don't have open discourse and a chance of redemption before it gets serious, we're going to have hell to pay, and it'll never get better. But long story short, 11% rise in drugs since COVID nationally. It's a pandemic, and only we, the people, can fix that. The government can't, laws can't, proven throughout all of Europe. The more you legislate drugs, the worse it gets. But we can cure it by being more open and more willing to get people help. But also, when they do make a mistake, we give them the punishment and we give them the redemption.
Yeah. Well said, mate. Well said. We're in a really interesting time we have this ability to know everyone's business in this day and age. I remember growing up just before iPhone and social media come up. So I still remember that time. And we've always, as human beings, we've always been interested in gossip and looking over our shoulder, looking over the neighbor's fence. Now we just have the mechanism and the technology to do it at scale. I don't want to engage in any banter about a player in Jack Ginnivan's situation because you don't know what's happening at our club. If we're going to take it from a Carlton supporter's point of view, you don't know. These are young men. It's a really interesting conundrum because they're young men. They're paid so well, and there's this narrative that they're paid so well. They're footballers. So therefore, they should be held to a higher standard and a higher account. And for the most part, that is true, especially when you talk about representing a fan base and a membership base and people that pay a lot of money and stakeholders and the like. But like, they're kids, man. He's 20 years old. Doesn't have the tools yet. Doesn't have the tools. Like, I'm 31 years old and I got a few more tools than what I had 10 years ago, but still making mistakes in career and everywhere. Like, we're still learning. We don't just figure it out and wake up. And
Mate, I'm
that's
37 and I
Yeah.
make fucking idiotic calls at least once a week. Do you know what I mean? And there's no such thing as a mistake if you don't repeat it. I always think
Yeah,
it's something
correct.
I tell my kids. It's something I live by. If you can learn from it, become a better human being, do you know what I mean? That's a thing. But like, honestly, listen to Darcy Moore speak about Jack.
Yeah.
I had a bit of a tear in my eye. I was like, what a leader. Because I
Yeah.
actually think the press have got on Jack a little bit too much, because he
Yeah.
came out yesterday and said, when they asked him why you did it, and he was like, oh, one too many beers, bad call. And I'm like, literally, imagine that's your son. And you said, son, why have you fucking done this? The police have rang me. They've arrested you for personal use. And he said, Dad, I had a few beers, mate. And you would understand. You'd go, yeah, okay, I understand. Like, at least he's honest. Like, he hasn't gone a tangent of, oh, my dog died in February. Nana's not been very well. Like, he could have gone a double, but he has literally made the mistake. Probably, we talked about 9 million people. I would say 8 million people of them drug users who aren't medically addicted are probably that story. I had a few beers. My mate offered an ecstasy tablet. Hey! You know what I mean? They didn't think. And that's why I think what you've got to do is think, right, he needs punishment, but also he needs a level of redemption. There has to be a point you don't take the piss and go change the Collingwood song to We Sniff Coke Forever. Like, absolutely ridiculous. Saw that meme go around and I was like, you know what? If you cause my kid to ever get drug addicted and he looks at Carlton's community for help, he ain't going to look for you guys for help. So do you know what I mean? And chances are he probably doesn't go to his old man because he'd be scared of reprisals. Do you know what I mean? Like most young men. And I'm thinking, think about what you're putting out there. Do you know what I mean? And unfortunately, he's made a mistake. He needs punishing, but he also needs the community. Do you know what I mean? And I'm glad Darcy's going to put his hand around. And one day we're going to be on this show, and I guarantee it might not be this year, might not be next year. One of our players will do something fucking stupid. We've already had it. Charlie Kerner, drunk drive. That kills thousands of people a year, and drugs genuinely affects the user. Drink driving affects you and me who don't do drugs. Do you know what I mean? We've had players have affairs. Do you know what I mean? I'd rather my kid do drugs once than him cheat on his girlfriend or his wife, because that's a betrayal. So everyone makes mistakes. We're going to have to get around our players once. And I think we have a social responsibility to go, right, he's done something wrong. He needs to be punished. But when he's done his necessary reacclimatization, you know what? He can still lead a good life. A mistake doesn't define your future. And that, if you are a kid watching that and you've read any old person over the age of 15 say anything, Uncle Pom says this: you can fuck up. Embrace the fuck up. You're going to have loads of fuck ups when you get to 37. What's important is never fear making the mistake, never fear asking for help. And you know what? Embrace the punishment and embrace the journey. Because I tell you what, when you make a mistake and you own it, you come out the other end so much superior to the man you left. And it's brilliant.
It gives you an opportunity. It really does. It gives you an opportunity to learn. And life will test you over and over again until you make that decision right. It's so true. Yeah.
Right.
Well said. Very well said. Fuck the pies. So we'll go back to that. But it is time. It's time to play the game. It's actually time to play the game. I'm so excited. So for those of you at home who were not here or who haven't been here for the last few weeks, where you been? There's that. So we've got a game we're going to play. It's called Stategories. Now, Gareth reached out, emailed me a few weeks ago. He created a game, and basically we have to pick who kicked more goals than the other player. So I'm going to set this up. Stand by. Talk amongst yourselves.
Well, we talked about drugs. If you're watching at home, kids, don't do drugs. Play this game. It's the same addictable level, but it's good for you because you learn something.
It is. Okay, hang on a minute. So the premise of this game is we're going to have two players that pop up on the screen, and we have to decide, we have to guess who kicked more goals. So I don't want to get carried away like last week. So last week we lost by one goal. Then we played again, and we hit a top score. I think it was 35. So get your phones ready. Don't Google. Try not to Google.
35. Can we
let's
crack
go.
5?
Yeah, there is a link to the game. I will post it at the end of the show. I promise you. Okay, let's begin. Oh,
We
I'm
got to
so
get 50.
excited. 35 is the high score. Who kicked more goals? Oh. Peter V.
Straight away, just off face value, and you've got to sometimes got it. I thought McLeod straight away, but
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah. Great start. Well done.
you know what? When it cycled and freaking he had 3, I was like, if he's had 300, I'm freaking quitting.
Yeah.
Go on.
Okay. I don't know who Brett Heady is. Yeah.
You look like he's the reserve wicketkeeper of Australia through the 90s, that mugshot, to be fair.
275 is not a 9-year career. I don't know what he was. I actually don't know what he was, Brett Heady.
He's got a massive head.
John says Heady by a long way. John was good
Yeah,
to
I was
us
going to
last
say he's
week.
got a massive head and neck, so he had to be a tall defender, a tall forward, and you'd hope 9 years as a tall forward, you've kicked more than 275.
All right, I'm going to trust John because he's never let us down.
It's all on you.
Oh. No, sorry. That's not good enough.
I've never felt more in tune with Goodsey than that.
All right, one more chance. Genuinely, one more chance. All right, we're warmed up. Let's go.
Almost Blues Brothers. Bags
John,
of
you're
gold.
killing us, mate. Okay, Brad Johnson, John Platten. This would be Johnson, surely.
I would have said Brad Johnson, but I mean, John Platten was great as the lead singer of Rage Against the Machine. That's Zach De La Rocha. Easy. 558, though. Horrible number.
Oh, terrible number. Oh, God.
It's got to be Modra, hasn't it? He's snagged a lot.
Yeah, but I mean, we're talking about a 16-year career versus a 9-year career. But I know Modra kicked a lot of goals.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like I'm pretty sure, like, if you're related to him in South Australia, you get free drinks for life, do you?
I think it's Johnson. Oh, I don't know. I'm telling you, this will be the only time. This is the last time we play for tonight. So,
Conchat, help us. I'm saying Modra.
I think I would guess Johnson. I think this is a trick question to make you pick Modra.
Oh, someone said that Modra kicked 538, Lewis.
Yeah, but I don't know. There's so many
And then
variables.
everyone's saying Modra. Like, do you know what I mean? If we ever played this as Russian roulette, you're not helping me. Oh,
He played at Freo in his last couple of years and he wasn't brilliant. There's so many people saying Modra. It's got to be Modra, right?
Oh, but your gut said Johnson. I said never forget your gut.
I don't know what to do. Okay. Let's think about it. 558. That's a lot of goals.
It is. By today's standard.
I'm going to trust my gut and go Johnson.
No! Oh, it was the battle of the guts.
I fucking hate this game.
Don't they call like Modra freaking Godra in Adelaide. Like he has to have kicked a lot of goals. To have God in your name, you've got to be good.
I feel like we can't leave on a 1. Like we've got to have some sort of.
Let's do it again.
Come on. All right.
Oh God! No, you know what? Just so everyone knows, when I saw Dick Lee, I read that as 1972, and my brain was going, "Fucking 70-year football career? Fuck me!"
So the thing with a guy that played so early in the 1900s is they kicked a lot of goals.
Yeah, that's my theory. Like even key defenders kick like 200 a year.
Okay, so we're gonna go Dick Lee.
Yeah, and he's had what, a next 16-year career? He must have kicked like nearly 800.
All right. Okay, that's a good number. Great.
Oh,
okay.
There it is.
Let's go. Let's get a little bit going here. Okay. All right.
So that's only what? That's an 11-year career. So
Played for North.
In the late 70s.
It's
got to be Dick Lee again, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, there it is.
All right, we're on. Oh God.
I don't know why I know Mick Conlon, but his name just rings a bell.
I've got no idea. No idea.
Conlon's had a 12-year career versus a guy that had what, an 11-year career. And based on the fact that Arnold has a wristband, Conlon must have kicked more. Because can you imagine wearing any form of protection in the 70s?
True. He was wearing a wristband to protect his wrist because he was more of a puncher and a spoiler.
Yeah, you say?
Hey, let's see if
Conlon
that works.
kicked 2?
Yeah,
hey, there we
are. Oh, easy money. All right, we're off. Away we go. I
love the way we work this out.
Yeah. This is Josh Kennedy, right?
It's got to be on it, yeah.
Okay, here we go. Away we
and
are.
218's a great number.
Oh, Brattles with the double image. 218.
So Brattles, pure on-baller.
Yeah, I know.
16-year career.
I've only remember seeing him kick 1 goal, the one on the boundary line against the Eagles.
Yeah, I was going to say, my brain from watching 80s highlights, 90s highlights, doesn't see Craig Bradley in the goals a lot. But surely
Brattles, right? Surely.
Because Caracella was known for his tackles.
Are we just getting Carlton biased here, though? Surely. Let's go. Yeah. Ducky. Easy.
Cheers, Daniel. Dustin Martin. If he was there, it would have been a great option.
Oh, hang on. Lindsay White gave us a drama last week.
Can I just say, no disrespect to Lindsay White, but you know when you watch them podcasts and they link you to a website so you can follow the true crime? Lindsay White looks like the missing photograph of anyone who went missing and died in the 30s.
Wait, this was the one where we lost by one goal, and I'm pretty sure it was 748 or 749.
Yeah, you see, I had 750 in my head.
All right. Oh. Wait, Lewis says White kicked 500. Oh, have I got it wrong?
Oh, Lewis, don't do this to me.
Don't do this,
no,
Lewis.
You can't
Is it just duck? Is it just simply duck? It's no.
You see, I'm sure Lindsay White fucked us as well last week.
I think he was the one where we lost by 1. I think it was him and Peter Dacos.
But I thought it was 750 odd, but
no. It was Peter Dacos with Lindsay White, and they were in the 500s. It's duck. It's duck.
All right.
It's duck. Yeah, 540. All right. Yeah, we're good. Oh God.
Oh, this must be Barry Hall, wasn't it? Because Barry Hall was like 600, wasn't he, from memory? Chat?
I think so. Chat, help. Anyone there?
I remember I cracked the joke about the King hit last time.
Yeah. It's Barry. It's Barry, right?
Yeah, surely.
Yeah. That's a lot of goals. Wow. Yeah. Oh.
I've got a feeling it was Bill Moore, the fullback. Who was the
The one that-
fullback that had like a
the-
20-year career and it was like 7 goals?
Well, Prestigiacomo had 3. I remember that.
Yeah, I'm sure this was the other one that had lows, but 746. It is the 20s there. But you've got to remember there's the war there. So I'd imagine
Okay.
you guys entered the war, 1940 officially. So there can't have been football in 1939.
Okay. That's good enough for me. I think everyone's saying Barry. Let's go Barry. Oh.
All right. You see, look. There you are. You see, look, the war helped us
That's
out.
close.
Right.
That's very close. Peter
This-
Matera.
This will be interesting.
I don't think. I mean, he kicked goals. I don't think he kicked 700 plus goals though.
Yeah, straight away. I'm saying 700 is a big number, and the 700 club's not that big, is it?
Yeah. All right, Bill. Yeah, the boys. All right. Oh.
Rashuta. I mean, he must have done because he was like a hustling, bustling, wasn't he, player?
Yeah.
And I agree there with Almost Blues Brothers. This has fucked us a few times. Dacos as well, because their highlight reels, you think they have more.
Rashuto.
Yeah, 100%. Lock it in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, we had Jeff Farmer last time.
My instant reaction is Jeff Farmer.
Yeah. Lock it in.
Lock it in.
I'm happy.
Okay. Yep.
Oh, Jeffy. What a player he was.
Jeffrey, it's good to see you here, mate. As if he's got a Melbourne Guernsey on. Put him in a Carlton Guernsey. He's a Carlton player. This would be Jeff Farmer.
I love the people in the chat saying click Jeffy. Which one?
Oh, Modra again. Wait. What was
He
Modra?
was 500, wasn't he? Yeah.
Well, yeah. 588 in 9 years. Derm didn't kick as many as we thought he had, right?
Yeah, and it was. I'm sure it was 500 and something. Or was it 600? I actually think it was 600.
Derm.
Yeah, I can't remember. I'm sure it was either 500 or 600, but we can't back against Modra again.
True. All right. It's Godra. Let's go. Yes.
Yeah.
Come on. All right. Oh, this is
Has to
Lloyd.
be Lloyd,
Easy.
hasn't it?
Easy. We haven't had him yet.
If you haven't kicked more than 500, what are you doing being an analyst on Fox Footy?
True.
Has to be Lloydie.
Lloydie, easy. All right. Are we a chance at the high score? Like, are we a chance?
We're just gone halfway.
We're halfway. Oh, Bruce.
Has to be Jenkins.
Has to be Jenkins, right? This is not a trick question.
Be embarrassing for a key forward to lose to a guy who played off the back line, wouldn't it? But
all right. There we
yep,
go. Okay. Here we go. Norm Smith. Well,
he's got the medal named after him. If he got the medal after a 15-year career kicking 21, I'm questioning it.
Wow. 572. Oh, wow.
Chris Tarrant.
Well, Tarrant played as a defender for a good chunk of his career. Don't overthink it. It's Norm.
Norm Smith.
Yeah.
Killing it. Oh, Bob Pratt. Someone gave us like his life and times last time.
Did they? Yeah.
In the chat, someone gave us like a whole history of Bob Pratt.
Well, you can see here 30 to 39, then obviously probably goes to the war.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure it was David Redbear as well who gave us the thing. So it's got to be Pratt.
All right.
But it was
Pratt.
like a lot of goals. Yeah, they are, JJ.
Yeah, that's right.
Like over 150 in a year.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Great.
Hey, Pom listens to chat.
This is great.
I'll learn.
I would probably still say Pratt,
Has to be because
even though
Stewart
Stewie Lowe
delivers-
played in the 90s.
Yeah, Stewart delivered my mail. Look at him.
All right. Pratt. Oof. Okay. Oh, God.
594 is that horrible number.
That is a horrible number. Gary Wilson, I have no idea. I need help.
He's kicked through the ball beautifully there. So
Yeah, he's
must
got a
have-
nice technique.
and he's got the face of a forward, hasn't he? As well, like he's
Yeah.
got that quiet confidence in his bottom jaw.
But 594 is that's a lot of
Good number.
that's a good chunk. David
Wilson's a
Redbear says
rover.
Wilson was a rover. Okay,
He's got Saints then.
so it's Stewie Lowe, right?
If he's got 700, chat, mark my words.
I swear to God. Okay, great. Ooh,
Did Westhoff ever get 500?
no, this is Gary.
I can't
Wilson.
remember it. No, yeah. So I was gonna say I can't remember. And we watched John Coleman surely.
5-year career. Am I reading that right?
Yeah, but he kicked a lot, didn't he? And it was in the 40s. So what? 70,
True.
60, 140. 70,
Well, they
140,
named the
234.
Coleman Medal
So
after
that would
him?
have to be 70 a year. But
Wow.
I'm willing to say Coleman. I think he's done it.
Yeah.
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 Fucking hell, that's a lot of goals in that time.
5 years. Your average is 100. All right. Horse.
Jesus. 5 a game. There they are. Jesus, 150 each year.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Some forwards go 10 years and don't do that.
Yeah.
Horse. Did he kick more than 500 goals?
John Bugs Bell. Very good. Very good.
Cheers, mate. That helps.
No, Lewis, don't play with us here. Don't play with us. There's a record in.
Lewis has already said that he's going to the function. So
Oh, there's actually quite a few people saying John Longmire.
I'm happy with chat. Chat never lead us astray. They have no reason to lie to us for bants.
Oh, all right.
Terry doesn't like it.
I knew it. We're going against the guy that they named the medal over. Oh my God.
You know what, Lewis? I'll find you.
What are we doing? Like,
That breaks me.
Whatever.
That
no, no, I'm not happy. I'm fucking pissed off at that. It doesn't need to be that way. What are we doing? Anyway, that was a great show. That was good fun. Just at the end.
I've got to say that's the most iconic clip. Chat won't lie to us, Terry. They've got no reason to lie to us and lead us astray. Okay. Wah, wah.
All right. I have cracked it. I have cracked it. I've cracked the shits. I'm going to have a bit of a sook. Thanks for tuning in. Just to recap, a lot's going on. Friday practice match. Wednesday night, Almost Blues Brothers, 8 p.m. here on the channel. The Besties launched the podcast this week. Exciting times. Ari and Nathan will be back on the 8th of March for the rest. The Jumper Punch will be back, I think, next week or the week after. And yeah, Pommy's doing the fan cams on Friday, 7 p.m.
And
Friday,
watch along,
7
ladies and
p.m.
gentlemen, back 24 days till your first watch along.
Yes, 24 days. Is the practice game televised? I don't know.
KO.
It is?
It's been confirmed, yep. So it will be on KO, but you will get me and Black Dog. We will be here 7 o'clock, taking you through the highs, the lows, the thrills, the spills. Yeah, so we'll have you covered either way. If you can't see it, you'll see us and come on, ask questions, give us your thoughts, and yeah, we'll probably be. Terry's going to have to leave some of the Kool-Aid for the post game.
I promise to come on to the fan cams from the wedding. Wow, 7 p.m. start. I will be well and truly.
You're going to have to leave us a Kool-Aid because if Carlton win that by 30 or 40 points, I'm burning one pre-round one. Gonna be like, here we go, lads.
Also, get your tickets. Blue Abroad season launch. There are 30 left. Get them. Jump in. All right. Good night, everybody. Love you all.